The basics of lighting. When you're lighting yourself, I personally like to start with a backlight. A backlight separates your subject from the background. As you can see, I currently have this little highlight over here on my shoulder, a little highlight over here on my hat. When you're lighting, you have to think in terms of values. Some lights can be very powerful and can blow out your subject, but if you're able to control that and you're able to put diffusion, we'll get to that later, on that unit, on that light, by unit I mean light, you would be able to achieve a more controlled light source so it doesn't spill everywhere. As you can see, I am mostly highlighted based on the darkness of my background. I have my background usually 2 to 3 stops underexposed. What a stop is if you are a photographer or a filmmaker, you would know what an f-stop is. An f-stop is the amount of light that the sensor is receiving based on what you're exposing. If you're in a dimly lit room, most of the time your f-stop is going to be 1.4 depending on your lens, or 2.8 depending on your lens. That is more advanced stuff, but we'll get to that in another episode. Right now we're just currently working on the basics of lighting. So like I said, the background's a little bit darker, and that's what we like. This is all useless information, other than the fact that we have a little Jade over here, which is why I have a different camera for her, so I could properly expose for her on that camera, and I have this camera dialed into the settings that I can see myself and be able to accentuate the character. It could be anybody, it doesn't have to be just me, it's whoever's in front of the camera. So the backlight gives it a little edge to separate the background. After the backlight, I like to work with a key light. My key light is this tube that you could see probably on my reflection of my glasses that I have right here. The tube is usually the brightest source of them all. The reason why I make my key light the brightest source of them all is because you want to be able to control your settings within the camera. You want to give yourself enough latitude of light to be able to, in camera, bring the background down. To my eye, it all looks the same. It all looks the same. Your eyes adjust depending on the quantity of light that there is in any environment. So you can't trust your eyes unless you teach yourself how to see light. Hi, I'm Bleed Blue. Welcome to my channel. If I keep popping up on your recommendeds, or if you're just new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe as it helps the channel grow. Thank you. The key light is always brighter. The key light will not only give you the most beautiful light, but you also have to make sure that it's the most diffused. Mainly, we use a lot of diffusion. Diffusion is, let's think of it as a physical filter in front of the light. Think of like a frosted glass. But instead of it being glass, it's a frosted rolls, which are specially made to be put in front of the light so that it's not plastic and it won't burn, but it will be able to diffuse your light. You want your key light to have some kind of diffusion. If you don't have a diffusion, that's completely fine. If you are in a constraint where you don't have diffusion, I've been able to utilize napkins or paper towels or something like that to be able to make the light softer. When you make the light softer, there's less shadows on the face. The light wraps around and makes it more beautiful. You will see less of the blemishes or any kind of imperfections on the face. I'm not beautiful, but that's the way to explain it. If you ever think or you ever see behind the scenes of like a beauty commercial or a something that like they have the actress looking extremely dolled up and gorgeous and the light looks amazing and her eyes are popping and everything, is because we have an extremely powerful light in a big softbox or like a big octobank. Not like the ones you get on Amazon, but these are 10 times more expensive because of the output. That's our key light. We spoke about the key light. We always want this to be a little brighter, and we always want to put some kind of diffusion. If you don't have diffusion or you don't have paper towels, or if you do have paper towels, make sure that the light you're using is an LED light. LED lights do not get hot. If you're using a tungsten bulb, almost like a little bit orange, or the ones that get extremely hot, you do not want to use napkins, because that's how you start a fire. I'm not responsible for your choices in your home when you light your scenes, okay? I'm just a random person on the internet. But yes, make sure you have an LED light and you have enough ventilation where the heat is dispersed so it won't catch the paper on fire. And then what you are seeing over here on my this is my left hand side, this blue light, at the angle that I have it when I'm facing you, and it's kind of accentuating my chin a little bit over here, this is what we like to call a kicker light. A kicker light, it adds a little more separation from the background, but it accentuates more of the setting on the character's face. So let's say you're in a bar and there's like, some red lights or something like that, not on top or not near the bar, but let's say there's some like Bud Light or Budweiser blue lights or red lights, neon lights by the window, off a frame. You could augment those lights by adding a tube or a light of the same color out of frame and just hitting the 3/4 back from the characters. I understand this is not 3/4. My room is not, ergonomic for this, especially with this giant ass desk that I have in my room. But yes, this is the rough concept. Yeah, some people will call this a fill, but depending on the kind of movie you're shooting, or depending on the kind of show you're shooting, there is this thing called contrast ratio, where you want to, let's say, if you have a very serious, moody, drama, where like a character just, unalive themselves, the room would be a little darker, and there will be less, of this, where you can see more of the person, and it's like I'm almost evil. Let's just put it that way. I'm in my own world, and I am secluded from the world, right? When you turn it on, it completely adds a different situation. If I were to make this blue light white, it would be more of a fill, and that just fills in my shadow side. The fill could, if I made it the same color as my key, it would just be more beauty. It would add more of a, not only dimension to the face based on the angle where the light is, but hide some of the blemishes where you won't see, where, the actors or the talents, pimples or scars or stuff like that. Because makeup does a lot of the heavy lifting, but the lighting is 100% where you either see it or not. There is some lens tricks, but once you get the light down, you don't need a fancy camera. That's the basics of 3-point lighting. If you have any more questions or concerns as to how I light, you can message me.